Hello again, this is your friendly neighborhood host, JT Wheatley, back for another episode of the History of Comics podcast. This time with another edition of the classics with Batman Year One by Frank Miller and David Mazzucchelli, which was a revamping of the Batman origin story after the Crisis of Infinite Earths, when all the series were given a mandate to revamp all the origins. For instance, George Perez worked on the Wonder Woman reboot, and of course John Byrne did the Superman Man of Steel reboot. And after Frank Miller did such a brilliant job with The Dark Knight Returns, he was the perfect man for the job to now go back and do his origin, which he did with David Mazzucchelli, which he also did brilliantly work with on the Daredevil Born Again, another classic book that I'll eventually get to. And this series took place in 1987 from Batman number 404 to 407. And it tells actually two parallel origin stories. One of Bruce Wayne Batman becoming, on his first nights of becoming Batman, while at the same time a Lieutenant Gordon arrives in Gotham City to start working in the Gotham City Police Department, only to find out mired in corruption. What's great about this parallel storyline is you see how both characters originally are not on the same pathway. Gordon views Batman as a vigilante and should be arrested, whereas Batman is wary of all the corrupt police departments. Actually, and it makes a point in the story that why Batman was needed, because the Gotham City Police was so corrupt that you had to have an outside force to come in and finally clean it up because there was no way to fix it from the inside, unless, of course, you have one honest cop in Jim Gordon. And both characters are great. Mazzucchelli's art has a gritty, realistic feel to it, and like the one downside, which has been revamped in later origin stories, is the depiction of Selina Kyle, Catwoman, as almost a dominatrix prostitute, which doesn't quite fit with her character. Yes, she is a character who has used sex to get her way in the past, but to be an outright prostitute in such a way doesn't quite work. But outside of that, this is still a classic origin story that is really one of the definitive takes on Batman, and also has been referenced numerous times throughout all the comic books, films, and TV shows since then. And further, Gotham is very much inspired by it. Of course, Batman Begins gives heavy reference to the Batman story. Year One storyline, and all great comic books, like my all-time favorite Batman story, Batman The Long Halloween, is in many ways a direct sequel to this, and it's just fantastic, which is fantastic. And yeah, this is one of those Batman must-reads if you are a Batman fan or a comic fan in general. And it's part of when the Frank Miller was just hitting everything on a high note during the 1980s and so forth. But of course, Mazzucchelli's art, beautiful. So yes, this was an easy classic right here, so definitely check out Batman Year One if you haven't already, because that is a true classic. And now is August 13th, 2020, time for the favorite comic book of the week. Firepower, number 2 by Robert Kirkman and Chris Samney, which find the martial artist with the ability to shoot fireballs from his hands, Owen Johnson, fighting a bunch of ninjas who somehow crept into his family's home at night. It was actually a pretty action-packed but fun issue that further explores the consequences of why Johnson had to leave the temple, and also some future dangers. But also, it's a lot of fun too, because Kirkman does a great job with both the family dynamic. Of course, his wife is very aware of what's going on. And at the same time, the fight is brilliantly choreographed. Samney's art is first-rate storytelling, and I love how even though Johnson is fighting ninjas in his home, he's making a point not to make too much noise because he doesn't want to wake his kids up. So this is a great fun issue, and people are wondering what's Kirkman going to be up to after The Walking Dead's over. Well, this is it, and this is a lot of fun, and I can't wait to see more of it. So yeah, definitely pick up Firepower number 2 and number 1. I picked up the other issue. They kind of both released at the same time, and they're both really great, real fun reads, and I definitely recommend picking them up. And also, this has been an interesting week for TV comic adaptations with me, because, of course, we had a season finale and a series finale this week. The first being Stargirl Season 1 ended up last Tuesday on the CW. Fantastic ending to a fantastic series. This Jeff Johns and the entire cast and crew, particularly Brick Messner as this title to Stargirl, really makes this is just a fun, good old-fashioned storytelling comic book superhero show from beginning to end. And the season finale hit all the right emotional beats with great action and drama and humor, and the cliffhangers. Any Stargirl JSA fan will be screaming at that they hinted at, and cannot wait to season 2, which has been renewed, and that's all the better. So this is the kind of superhero. This is a great superhero show. Let's have this good, clean, fun, good guys battling bad guys. And like I said, Britt Messner, fantastic Stargirl. And I hope this is now permanent in the CW. We're going to see her interact more with the rest of the CW shows as well. That'll be great. And plus, of course, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. had their two-part series finale last night. And while this show had ups and downs, all in all, I still very much enjoyed this series. And a nice emotional note with some nice tie-ins. And, of course, Clark Gregg was always excellent as Agent Coulson. And hopefully we find a way to have all these characters come back in one way or another in the MCU because they're just great characters. And I feel the same way about the Netflix Flash and all of the, like Daredevil and Jessica Jones and so forth. Like, find a way to bring those great actors. All right, perfect for the parts. Just work them in the movies and stuff, Marvel. They'll be perfect. And also, finally, I've started watching iZombie on the Netflix. Of course, that was a previous CW show based on the comic book from Dark Horse. And it's so far a pretty fun adaptation of the show. Yep. But if those unfamiliar, it's about a girl who gets turned into a zombie. She has to eat brains to stay alive and normal. But as a result of eating the brain, she takes on the traits of the victim, and she uses that to solve their murders and so forth. Really great, fun show so far. Every episode's on Netflix, and definitely check that out as well. So, for those still having to self-quarantine and so forth, there you go. Some good comic books and some good TV shows to binge and so forth. So definitely check them out. And of course, when you are frequently your local comic store, if you can, do check out both Firepower #2. And if you haven't read it, then I can't imagine anyone has, but if you haven't, give it a reread again anyway. Batman Year One, because that's a true classic.